in case you need a recording. Okay. So needless to say, my AI portfolio probably got slashed by like a nice 25%. That went down pretty, but that also is a long-term portfolio, and as I said before, and I think there could be a bit lower chance. So I'm going to watch Bitcoin for the next, couple of weeks here, and then I'm going to slowly DCA into the AI coins. I don't even think tonight may be the night. Like tonight's the one night to like jump on in. Like I dabbled my foot into Bitcoin tonight. You know what I mean? And I grabbed a little BTC. Let me just switch that. It just does that whenever I got a little Bitcoin. That's really like the biggest purchase that I made. And it wasn't huge, on the low. But this is now a good time to begin to pay attention and to begin to stack, So this apparently did pop, came back down. Now it's going sideways. But it looks like if anything goes up again, it looks like this, you could just negate this because this was the craziness of today, right? And now it looks like it could possibly still break to the upside. I'm like that. Like I'll see something in a pattern. If it breaks out of the pattern but breaks right back inside. And it's interesting. I mean, that was a shoulder ahead and kind of a hard to see, smaller time frame. Yeah, you can see like a shoulder head. The right shoulder can be not, they don't have to match, just has to resemble that idea. But I'm not like after big crashes and stuff like that, unless I see like what looks like a V-shaped recovery or something, buying into a quick move back to the upside. But I'm going to take a look at Bitcoin. We're going to see what's happening right now and what we're looking at. So to me, just psychological is 20,000. There's the CME gap right there, and we ate the CME gap perfectly. This was exact, like I made this the exact like area of the gap, right? And so we come to meet the bottom of the gap. We cleared the gap. So we did what most people think we would do, right? And I'm not saying that we don't clear the gaps when I said I don't care about them, but what I do say is like I just want, there's a time in your life where there'll be a gap and there'll also be a TA move. Now today, like the TA said we were going to dump and then we closed the gap. So they were in conjunction with each other, but there may be a time where your TA says there's going to be a move and there's a gap and you'll just be like, nah, the gap's there. And then you'll miss the TA move. So I just feel like you got to keep doing whatever your system tells you to do. Like my system eventually identified a short because my system says do exactly what the patterns say. Simple stuff, right? And this was a bear flag to me. And I also know I play stochastics RSI very heavily, and I watched on the 1 hour time frame. And basically, this is like a key to my trading, like how to nail shorts and longs. All right, everybody, write this down, get ready. But really, the main way I trade, I'm looking for divergences and stuff, and the MACD, comes into play. But if I had to take, whatever I mainly use, stochastics, support and resistance, price action, and, patterns, I guess, take those, 4 things. So here's the deal. This is how I look at things. And you can go back in time and begin to kind of teach yourself this idea. And you can use any time frame. We can get out of the CME. And I like to take moving averages away when I'm just looking at price action. Moving averages come into play too for me. Like, for instance, the second we got below the 200 SMA, I was bearish. That's a bearish sign, right? And then you're very bearish until you get back above it. Now you look at your daily. Are you going to go below the 200 SMA on the daily? You do that, you're double bearish. That's an even more bearish sign. Those were good signs that we got above those. Those gave us some breathing room. And I even said, like, I'm bullish when we stay above the 4 hour. Like, I got bearish. The second we got below here, I was like, oh, man, no good. Second we got back, I was like, all right. Back below the 4 hour, 200 SMA. And I'm telling you, I'm not saying we're going into a bear market forever, but I will tell you that, every single bear market that ever began on any asset started when, little time frames had it first. But the most substantial time frame that you would have to actually say, hey, 4 hour time frame, price got below the 200 SMA. And I know I revisit this. I know I revisit all this, So, Yeah, so just KuCoin is just getting, basically sued or maybe shook down by New York. We'll see what happens to them. They may ban all U.S. citizens off, and you may have to use a VPN, or they may go the Binance route, right, where you're going to have to, and there's a chance that whoever here is in the U.S., there's a chance we have to get off KuCoin like we had to get off Binance, and if that's the case, we'll do what we have to do. We'll trade We'll trade whatever we have to trade. And I'll even Bittrex does pretty good trading too and has good swing. So, and I'm thinking about opening up it's a BitTrex, but a Bittrex account. So, did you pull your funds off KuCoin? No. Why would I pull my funds off KuCoin? That doesn't make any sense. Yeah. I withdraw $400 because someone told me that someone was having problems withdrawing. So I sent with $400 to a friend, Mexi has 2L, 3L, 4L, and 5L tokens, which is even better, in my opinion. I also remember the SEC is 0 for 5 so far suing, No, your money won't be lost. I mean, if you're on KuCoin, what they'll do is they'll just come out and say please KYC in the next blah blah blah, and if you can't KYC, you just have to withdraw. You know what I mean? If you feel uncomfortable, only leave what you're willing to risk on there right now. Don't keep too much. It's completely up to you. But so measured move of this is the base of the back end of the wedge. And that brings us even a little further down, $19,422, right? Oversold on the stochastics RSI, oversold in the RSI, extremely low. It's the lowest we've seen the 4-hour RSI since this dip here, right? All the way down since 15K, really, since we've really capitulated. So, that's a pretty hardcore dump because it touched a very low area on the RSI. That means a lot of money was used to do that. Okay. Yeah, Tom Crown is kind of, I don't know. He's just causing FUD. I mean, I'm saying don't leave your life savings on there. You know what I mean? But I think you'd be fine. But again, you never know. They're not insolvent. You know what I mean? So I like Tom Crown. He's a good dude, but do I listen to everything he, I don't know. Again, I could be wrong, and by my tongue, he could be looking out too. He's in crypto and he just cares about people. So at the end of the day, he's just looking out. He just doesn't want to see people get hurt. That's all he cares about. So, I mean, I got 26 grand there now. Now it's 20 grand. So we'll see. You know what I mean? 24,000. At the highest point, it was 20. I put in 20 grand. Now it's so. That's, we'll see. Most of it is the AI portfolio and then some trading, and some U.S. tether. So we'll, I wouldn't mind taking the AI portfolio and just stashing it because it's definitely something that I'm just thinking could, just want to hold for long term and see where it goes. So look, if this makes a bear flag, I'm just speculating here. We could go lower, down to 18,000. Right, so there's definitely a chance we go lower. Don't think we don't. Just because we're oversold in the daily, there's definitely a chance we could start to go lower. What this is doing is resetting these bigger time frames. The 5-day, the 4-day, the 4-day just reset. I mean, does it have to reset the 10-day? I haven't really back tested these bigger time frames. You think, does the 10-day have to reset right now? There's a chance it does. All right, and do we make a lower low? Honestly, anything could happen. In my opinion, anything could happen. The divergence tells me no, but hey, I've only been backtesting weekly divergence because, you know what I mean? I'm only so old. For 3 to 4 years, really. You know, I mean, I've tested divergence on many time frames for the last 5 to 6 years, but this is so I humbly believe because this divergence is this strong that we won't make a lower low. At the same time, you know, I'm open-minded to believe that any single thing is possible in trading, and I have to. That's what I finally had to come to terms with, you know, and I realized that if I didn't come to those terms, I would never be able to handle the ups and the downs in crypto. So can we go to 12K? I have to believe we go to 12K as strongly as anything else could happen, you know, sadly to say, like, so, yeah. So does this flag break us down to 18,000? There's a chance, you know, we shall see. So. And so basically this is what I'm seeing. What would be cool? What if it was another idea? And we V-shape recovery right back into here. We're back in the same levels. You know, we just fly up. You know, so I don't know. I know nothing but the fact of my own ignorance, right? No idea. Where do we go? We don't know. Yeah, I'm probably wrong. I don't know if you're saying that. You know, I have no idea, but who knows? I mean, the whole point of you have to remember when I went onto YouTube and just started YouTubing, I didn't know what was gonna happen. So like, I was so open minded at that point. I was just like, I don't know, like if people are gonna subscribe to this. I just was like, I like cryptocurrency, and what makes me say that is because like. I never really was afraid of being right or wrong. You know, I was just like, I'm just gonna do me and see where it goes, right? And see what other people are doing them, and if like if like their life, the way they're living their life, and the way I'm living on my life collide, then like things are going well, you know. So anyway, point of the story is like. I know that finding cryptocurrency was like the luckiest thing that ever happened. It like was luck. It was luck. I mean, say okay, fine. I was prepared and I was studying gold and silver, and then I found out that Bitcoin had a low supply, and it all made sense. But I still find it amazing because I remember just thinking back on my life, and I would have just kept doing what I was like. I would have been in television and film. Maybe I would have kept trading stocks and got into stocks enough because I was so passionate about. There was something about technical analysis. Like I love math, and I realized it as I got older. Like in school, I was, I actually didn't mind math. I did pretty good in physics, but it wasn't like I didn't like I wasn't like, oh yeah, I wasn't in the math club. But as I got older in my 20s. I started watching videos like Nikola Tesla. I started getting into Fibonacci and just learning way before I even got into trading. And I was just blown away. And just learning things that people use like to do carpentry and like like certain type of tools that find angles for you. If you match this angle to that angle. And I was like cutting bricks and like putting the brick into place. And I was like, oh my God. I mean, simple stuff fascinates me too. But sometimes like the simplest things are like, things that most people don't even understand. Yeah, it's really weird. So that was, and that was actually big for me. I was actually thinking this the other day. When I went to build my YouTube channel, I can't remember when I decided, I can't remember when I got over the fear of it not going well, because anytime you start anything in life, there's the odds that it goes well or that it doesn't go well, right? But I remember when I first started the channel, I had no idea what was going on. Like the pandemic was going, the pandemic was going to start. I started in September of 2019. So 6 months later, I'm stuck at home, right? Like New York City's crazy. It just, life turned it into something that I never thought possible. And next thing you know, I had a community to lean on and people that were like-minded and people that wanted to change their lives, people that wanted to find cryptocurrency, people that tell me about a coin. I'd learned, and that to me, like it got me through the pandemic. Like I probably would have gotten depressed. Who knows what would have happened to me just alone all the time. And then I moved to a new city where all my old friends, I wasn't going to show up like, hey, what's up in the middle of a pandemic. I hadn't seen people in 20 years. And so then all my old friends back in New York, and then New York was just sounding like, it was just weird. Like the whole thing changed. Like the whole dynamic of everything changed. And that's why I truly believe in God. Cause it's like I moved, I started the channel when I started it. Everything was put into place, for even for us all to be here tonight on this weekly screen share. Like if some people are new or not, I just find that absolutely fascinating. Like if you don't think that's just nuts, like the roll of dice of life. I got into crypto, found out about technical analysis, and then just all of us went through the pandemic the way we did, and then a lot of people spent more time at home too. So they found YouTube or they found cryptocurrency. I remember when I first started tutoring people would write me a story after or write me an email and they'd be like, listen, like one old lady, I taught her how to look for coins and she found Matic super low, like 40, 80 cents. She sold it above $2 or $3 or whatever at a high point in the market. And she remember writing emails like, you taught me so much. You got me out. I put in my savings and was able to change my life. And I remember talking to her and she had started an ear business and put all this money, to do hearing aids. And she had put all this money into it. And then they shut her down in the pandemic and she couldn't make any money and she had already paid for her lease. And it's just story after story of people that just got rocked. And, granted, crypto was perfect at the time because we were about a year, into a halving, where we are now. So the key is not to get too frazzled. And I kept saying to people too, people were like, what are you going to DCA into? And I kept seeing tons of people starting to be like, what are you DCAing into the bull run? And I started watching videos like that. And I saw some crypto banner videos and a couple ones, and I was like, all right, and I was looking at AI coins, and even I built an AI bag, but I was like, man, this can't be the lie. We could go down, this bag could go down 50%. And I even said it when I showed it, I was like, this bag could go down, Bitcoin could drop, and if I'm not ready for that, so those are things I'm like, all right, I'll hold them I can hold, and I said to myself, I was like, I'll hold this bag or these certain coins for this amount of time, and I'll be honest with you. Most people, because if you tell yourself you're going to swing a bag, first of all, when I do that, I always make sure I have money to swing, because if I don't, then you'll end up swinging a bag because you'll just get caught in the middle. You have to allocate, and sometimes it's almost good to make two accounts if you have to. One account long term, and then like I say, get those off. Really, for me, the two accounts are the hardware wallet, right? And I'm going to venture in to find out. I have 4 hardware wallets. And I'm working on another company that wants to do, look at it, and I'll look at all the different ones. But I'm looking, what one can I put AGIX on? That's something I'm looking, I haven't looked into any of that. So I have to figure out what ones I can stack long term, fetch AI and all that stuff. And how does that work? Because I haven't looked into those, right? Once I do, I'll know. Really what I'll do is I can just look at them here and see, kind of research them. So this has an Ethereum address. So now I know I could, because it's a token, it's an Ethereum, so I can definitely stick this on my Trezor wallet because it's a token on the Ethereum, right? So now I know that it can go on my Trezor, okay, as a token. Because if it has an Ethereum address, then you can send it to your Ethereum wallet on your Trezor Touch, right? And then, so I would literally take, the coin will have an address. This is also a token on Ethereum network. So these are both go right on the hardware wallet, nice and easily done. You know what I mean? These are the main ones, 3303. It's funny. 333, so funny. So crazy, man. So that's like interesting, you know what I mean? And so again, I mean, not your keys, not your crypto too, like long term, in the long term category of it all, right? So tonight I'm watching this flag on Bitcoin, and now we have a resistance. I made this bigger chart too. What do you put it on? KuCoin. Yeah. And the short may eventually hit that target too, to the downside. But you see these bigger areas, this, a lot of, in that point, I always remember hitting 19,100, 100, 200, 100, 200. And I was like, if we hit this, if we hit that, if we hit this, yeah. And like, that was just, I must have said 19,100 or 200 almost every other day on a live stream for like 2 weeks. So it's a very known area. We come there, we're going to bounce around, and you can see it's a point of control. If I move this, it's the red. It's the point. It's the red line. It is the point of control. On the 4-hour time frame, very substantial. So we lose that. There's a gap in the VRVP. Easily, like, there's a little stop at 17,000, 18K area. Like, we may just, stop for a second down there. But the main liquidity zone is going to be back in between, the value area low, 15,003, and up into 16.5, So you might wick down, and do we make a lower low? There's a chance. Now that's on the table. It just has to be, these are the things that you have to just be like, all right, this is possible. Now, most people should be excited because if you miss Bitcoin on its that was such a fast move up. And again, what Bitcoin does is it makes people emotional, and it'll challenge you. Like, years of trading Bitcoin, you'll never be the same. You'll be like stone. Things that used to get to you when you started trading Bitcoin just won't get to you anymore, because it's almost like too many times your expectations and hopes will be broken, and you'll realize that like life goes wherever it goes. And like what you do is you make the best of every single situation that happens. Like, that's life. It's not like, oh, I make plans, and when they go well, I feel good, and then when they don't go, I feel bad. It's no, I just I do the best I can every day. I push for what I want, and I mold my destiny. But it still doesn't, you're still at the will of nature and life, right? People, the most careful people, can still slip sometimes. Things happen. So it's just about knowing that no matter what happens, we must be as positive as humanly possible. Like, if someone got wrecked today, and you have to ask yourself, why did I get wrecked? What happened? What did I do? Did I not use any stop losses at all? Did I open like 15 trades on every single coin in the game? You know what I mean? Even though like we're still in kind of like a bear market, and we were at a resistance for Bitcoin. So like, the idea is just to always and if you were gonna and if you're DCAing into something, right? Always know that there could be a lower price. Like, never go all, in my humble opinion, the best DCA is when there's a little bit left and you're like, dang, I wish I put more in. Because what that means is you were just always grabbing a little more. The worst DCA is I'm all out of money. I don't have any left. You know what I mean? So I'd rather like run out of money, or I'd rather not. I'd rather have like a little bit left and knew that I was always, because that usually means you were buying at the lowest of the lows. If you still even have like, $50 to $100 to $200 left, and you were buying, say, like $50 at a time. Right. And there's also some cool DCA bots that you can just run. You can ask, hey, buy a little bit at a time. Even Coinbase has a like, hey, buy, it's not even a bot, but it's just like a write-in. Like, right when you go to buy, it'll say, we'll make this reoccurring. And you could be like, yes. Like, just buy $250 worth of Bitcoin every month on the 7th of whatever, or buy $25 worth of a week on Tuesday. So I did that for years on my Coinbase account, just because, I was busy working a night, doing all sorts of things. And let's say I was working a night shift. I got off the night shift in, 2000. Yeah, no, I didn't start buying Bitcoin until, I got into the day shift. All right, but it was like around there. 2015, 16 is when I slowly started getting off the night shift into the day shift. But the idea is focusing on, I even remember back then focusing on knowing that Bitcoin in the bear market was at a good value, being like, well, no one's paying attention. When like that fear and greed index, that thing's going to hit, start getting into the shaded area. And it's going to be time to kind of load back up again. So this will turn into this is my favorite. These are my favorite areas into this when you get into the loaded area. You want to, and I've been using this for a long time. It's pretty high. And look, it got into greed. It touched into greed. And had you just sold greed, it's pretty interesting. But, so, I mean, it can get pinned even higher. So it's like you can't just be like, oh, I sold. But it did get into the greed. It hit like 60, I believe, even though it says 58. At one point, I'm pretty sure I saw it at 60. And so what I do is I like to watch this and wait for it to get into the shaded area. When it gets into the shaded area, I'm just like convinced to buy like a little more than regular Bitcoin. Like I'm always DCAing, but when I'm in here, I'm like, that's when I'm like attempting to load up. And good time to even like, start to place some limit orders again from, I was thinking 15,000 up to 17,500, just stack them in there and leave them on there. Like if I was a Bitcoin DCAer, right, for me, which I am, and I was into stacking BTC and whatever coin possibly, but, and you can kind of like try to trip those areas out to where you think the coin will be, where Bitcoin's at. But that's like another, I think is a good strategy because we don't know, and we may never go to those areas, but if you have a limit order down there and you catch it on a wick lot, and today, to me, today was a good day to buy at least some. Like I had to buy something in the red. But like right now, 15-minute overbought, still inside this bear flag. It's looking bearish. Like we could go further down. And they built a lot of hype. A lot of people get into the hype. Probably a lot of liquidations, possibly still. And we know there's still a lot of people that are still caught long. Like maybe I just I didn't get stopped out yet. It's got to reverse. It's got to reverse. It's that, it's got to reverse. It's got to reverse. And then they wait till they get like, so there's some stragglers probably hanging out left for, and what we're looking for maybe is like that real big divergence, like this one here, and hopefully maybe that becomes the divergence on like a 1 hour time frame, like one that's really worth, because we haven't been able to get like a substantial divergence. Like you need one on like a 1 hour of the 15 that's really strong, and what that is the RSI moving down, moving up with the price action moving down. So yeah, I mean, not a shock that we were going to short, a shock at how fast it fell. Right, like whenever it falls, it's like, and when kind of you never know, but it's always a shock because you never know when it's going to happen. It's kind of like Bitcoin drops. So like kind of like having a kid. If you ever had a kid, and it's like you never know when it's gonna happen, and you're never gonna be 100% prepared. Like you're always gonna be like, oh, like, but it happens, and then it's time your life changes. You're like, all right, so, but I mean, having a kid changes your whole life. It's kind of like not, but you know what I mean. It's like you can't, boom. It's like it happens so fast that next thing you know, and Bitcoin. So what I believe, right? I mean, I don't believe, but the charts right now convey that it wants to go lower, right? It wants to go lower. $20,005. Bookmap doesn't show much data of huge orders. I like to just crunch it and look and see how the hills hit each other. Interesting. Pretty even. Right now, liquidating longs. You can see on the low. It's chipping away. Starting to drop right now as we speak, actually. Oversold stochastics. You'd be surprised with RSI. I mean, it's below, but it's funny. I was looking at it like that. But it's lower. It's still curving, though. Stokes say, hey, we want to bend down. There you go. It's starting to break down right now. Seven-minute dumping. And see how you're local. If you picture this like a ball, price action like a ball, this like a hill, and you bounce down the hill. You bounce down the hill. It's like once you lose points of control, it's usually just like you start to drop. That looks like a frog or something. Anyway, so the idea is I just do the same things over and over again. Like price action can't get above. Oh yeah, and here's what I really wanted to get down and talk about. And any time frame really works for this demonstration, right? But I'm just gonna I'm gonna pop up the stochastics, right? So up, down, up, down. Up, down, up, down, up, down. All right. So here, stochastics are low, price is low. Stochastics come up, come down, come up, come down. And you can see we come up, we come down. This one's an interesting idea, right? So you come up, you come down, you come up. You're either in a downtrend or an uptrend, or you're sideways, right? The second you go sideways, you have to try to decipher whether it's a bear, you're double bottoming or you're double topping in a way. It's kind of like which way, which way are we going sideways? Sam, what is your on ramp and off ramp? It's Binance US and Coinbase, both of them. So the idea is this. I watch stochastics and, and again, they're squiggly, they change, but what they do, what you can know about them, and you can go back and look at this. Like if you were a scientist, you could just say, I need to study this. What does it do? And you're back, well, it goes below the dotted line and above the dotted line about 90% of the time, right? It might kind of touch it there, but most 90% of the time, and it's going to squiggle and it's never going to do it exactly the same. But for the most part, it's going to go up and down. And what I like about that is it's a constant. There's two things that I use in trading that I believe are constants. Like they're the closest things that I call constants. They're the price touching the 21 moving average and this idea here. All right. And for me, I need something concrete at one point to sink my teeth into. Because we have tons of probability, but then there's got to be something that when I'm all right, when this happens, we're likely to have the drop, right? And this is what I base all my insurance shorts off of, because at the same time, you have to tell yourself you have no idea where price is going. See, the old me would have said, oh, it's called. See, even just 2 years ago, I would have been like, I'm calling a short for sure. You know what I mean? And but the idea is I learned that that's not how you teach. That's not how a mature trader would laugh at me. Mark Douglas would be like, if he ever mentored me, he'd be like, that's not the way, Sam. The way is to say the probability is in your favor and that's what you're going to do. But you don't know. And it's not your trade and it's not your ego and it's not you look at me and look at my short. You're just taking what math has given you that you haven't made a decision. What you have made is, hey, this is the type of math I'm going to use. These are the probabilities that I see fit that make sense to me, right? But back to this demonstration. And it works here. It works right here, all right, specifically. And it works on different time frames depending on how you like to use it, all right? Here's a really, really perfect. This one's perfect. A perfect example. And someone could just play the M, but sometimes it's not that easy to see the M. And sometimes you want more than one thing to give you what's called confluence, right? So here, say this was the stochastic RSI. And what I want to show you here is price action, should follow it. Meaning when we drop up, when we move up, we should move up. And you know what? When we get to this area in a healthy situation, if we're healthy, when we get back up here and we look left and we see this one here, we should look left to price action, and we should make a high higher than that. And that's healthy, because the Stokes are always just going to go up and down. So you have two scenarios. The price just follows it like this and goes completely sideways, which it kind of did here, right? It just went sideways. So there's one scenario. The second scenario is that price goes up, right? And usually price goes sideways first. Same thing here, like price goes sideways and then usually it goes down. Now, the point of what I'm trying to make, if I can convey it properly, is down, 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 right? And just get me, I'm making like a version. This is like my, a dummy version of the stochastics, and I'm drawing price action. But like price action can be, when it's trending up, you're just going to see that like all the downtrends. And then like, this is what I loved about, like, and that's what I loved about the Stokes, is like I would place it on the 15 and all the down parts of what, and I would draw some pattern, and all the down parts of the pattern would like hit the stochastics on the low part, So, and bear with me. And the reason why I'm showing you this is subconsciously I kept doing this. And then that's how I realized like how to play a short, because one day I was like, oh, so stochastics are going up and down. So right here we have like a perfect example of it. You're going flat. You have some down movement. You go down, you go down here, you come back up, you come up, you come down, you go down. Then you have a nice move up. That breaks the high. That's bullish, right? Then you have a move down. It's pretty similar with these, and it's like, all right. And then your next move up, right? You go up on the stochastics, but you don't break the high. And so like what it's telling me is you completed your move, but it's like you didn't have enough, It's almost, I'm trying to think of a cool metaphor for it. It's like maybe someone's like throwing a fishing rod and like they do it the same every time, but by the end, like they just don't have the energy, but like they still use the exact same motion forward and back. They use the exact length of range that they have, but like for somehow it just, so I watch this closely, and when I start to see that, it's kind of like, oh, and honestly, we had multiple resistances here, and it started to make what looks like a bear flag, right? Sideways behavior after downward movement. And if you flip this upside down, that's another cool thing to do. You just, and you'd be like, that looks bullish to me, right? Now, it defied the diamond. It was, it wasn't a perfect diamond anyway. No diamonds are. But there was a chance that there was going to be that reversal, but we fell out. And honestly, Bitcoin likes to do the opposite. Like, I see Bitcoin break out of descending triangles when like almost no other asset does it. Bitcoin just does funny things. So here, like, we're watching the same idea here on the stochastics. And what I want to see is a leveling off. And so like how did I know this was likely to dump here, right? Like, and, number one, the 7 was overbought. So like same concept here, we come up, and honestly, sometimes you have to use a smaller time frame, but this time frame will exemplify it. Maybe you need the 1 minute, because I want to see something that's cycling. So you cycle up. Every single time this keeps cycling, you're hitting a low again. Like, this is a small version, okay, of what you're seeing here. And then you make an M at the end. This is a small version of what we're seeing here. This big one that fell out. Does that make sense to everybody? Let me just like this one, this flag that broke down. And the same thing here. I had a high in the stochastics, came down, we made a high here, and when we finally broke back up and I looked left in price action, you're not making a previous high. And I'm like, it's kind of a shame. It's like, wow, we had such a good push. And It's almost, yeah, it's almost like a car that you're trying to get started, and like you push it every week and it moves, but one time you give it the same push, but like it doesn't go anywhere this time, and then you're like, it's probably just gonna roll back down the hill now. So it's that idea that momentum has told you that you've given it all the momentum has told you really have, yet you weren't even able to get back above. Have you seen App right now? It's the only coin that I'm watching that's over so long term. Yeah, I mean, I put out a look at it because of the Fibonacci, honestly, But right now, what I do right now, honestly, when we're in like a major dump like this, is we watch Bitcoin. We look at the shorts still. Shorts may still be in play if we can't double bottom here, right? 7 minute did come down, possibly trying to double bottom, okay? That's why we did, every time you see a wick to a wick, you have to suggest that there's a possible double bottom coming, right? A little bit of bullish divvy there. Swing up the swing. I mean, on the 30-second chart, though, I mean, it's tight, but a little bit. And so now you watch here, like, the idea is, like, do you come back up in here? If you make it back inside here, right? Like, if you're looking along or short, what you're trying to do is find out. You make it back inside here, there's a chance you break out. But, at this point, you're either going to make some type of, I guess, a shoulder head and a shoulder, try to break back in, or you're going to go make sideways consolidation. Price action, was moving pretty fast there for a second. So, I go to a smaller time frame. Now, I don't personally want to use a smaller time frame. That's why I always teach my students and people. It's like I use whatever time frame that I need at the moment, right? Like, there's no way you would have seen this bear flag and been able to trade this short down without, if you were looking at like a 7, 7 gave it possibly, but 15 minute still had it a little bit. And 15 minutes suggests that this dump is just beginning and we have a ways to go down, right? Now, the old me doesn't really go past the 7. In a Bitcoin dump, I'll use whatever I can to get information, right? But can't even just sit here on the 7 and wait for these Stokes. I mean, see, and the same concept here. I mean, the Stokes were like, this is even worse. I mean, the Stokes came up high. When they came up high again, we were super low. So you just assume it's like trend. Here are your stochastics. They're your constant. Price was here, all the way down. Its next high is like this. And you just have to assume that until eventually you get some type, eventually what's going to happen is the Stokes come up again and they make a high, right? And then you're like, oh. And then when the low comes, when the Stokes, and that's when you know the long. Like when the Stokes are low, that will usually coincide with a fib, and you'll be at the 618. It'll be a retracement. It's just interesting how this price action will flow with it. So does everyone kind of understand what I mean by like the stochastics are constant because price action can get to a high, and then if I just see that it can't make another high, it's usually likely this is the one that's going to start to take you down, right? And a lot of shorts, honestly, all the shorts recently that I've put out have been really like that has been like the main thing that I've seen. I've seen the pattern, I've seen the measured move, I've seen the support and resistance. Like, there's other stuff, but that's been like when I finally decide, hey, I'm going to take this trade, So everyone asks me, like, what's your signal? Like, because everyone wants to know what someone's signal is. And, like, I used to, like, as many mentor and people that have taught me, they never sat with me and showed me how they got in and out of a trade. I eventually had to do that myself, and I still show people, like, my technique. Some people... and anyone could criticize my technique because I made it myself, and like it's self-made, do it yourself, right? But what it does do is, in my humble opinion, is it does the same thing over and over again. So at least it makes you consistent. Like my whole thing is people that find a system to do the same thing over again will find consistency. But in my mind, like consistency comes from doing the same thing over and over and over again. So like, if you said, hey, Sam, I like the way this looks, let's long it, right? And it pumps and I miss this, so be it. Because like, I just don't long like stochastics that are curving, you know, on the 15 when I'm at resist. Like, you know, there's just so many things that are wrong about that. Now, now if I miss it and it pumps up and it comes back to resistance, and then the stokes are low there, well, I like to long resistance when the stochastics are low, and there's so many things right about that for me, you know. So you'll learn, like, because people will be like, and you'll learn. And what I like about having a system is when my system says, hey, caution, and I don't listen, and I you know, I basically and I caution it, and then, you know, I miss a trade or not, I'm not upset because I did with a probability of mine that I found works for me, not what like the outside world has given me. You know, the point is to find your own, like, find out where you stand in the market and keep hitting the market from your standpoint. You know, and not like chasing everyone else's, like, you know, if that makes sense. Like, I do this on, you know, when this is like this, you know, period. Like this is the probability that the price drops further down to about 19,800 right now is very high based on the stochastics RSI pointing to the downside. Doesn't mean it's guaranteed. It doesn't mean it's going to happen for sure. But, you know, the odds are high. That's all. You know what I mean? Now, there's a bit of a divergence forming finally, you know. It's very, very low. But this is swinging up. Well, these are swinging down. Could be our, like, final, you know, a little bit of a saving grace. We have, look, that was straight down. Many, many candles. And now you've built, so you're looking for some type of structure, something different than it just, and that's why you go to, you know, 15-minute gave us enough. 7 minutes oversold too. Sometimes every once in a while that could give you like at least a stopping point. But that 50-minute doesn't look good to me. And, you know, until that stochastic curves or comes back down, you know, and the battle for 20K is on again now. And that's, you know, we're back about to lose 20K. So let's look at, trying to think of like right before all the dumpage happened. Let's see. And honestly, I want to go find this, see if this were. It's like a rumbling. Sounds like a tank or something. I had a whole thing of like how to use alerts in my group because, like, basically the how to use alert system in that was in my learning library. That was like basically exactly what I do, you know. But let me show you. And there's two things I do. I'll tell you, there's two things that I do, depending on the situation and depending on the risk factor. All right. And I think this is key for people to understand because I remember a bunch of beginners, once I told them this, it changed. You know what I mean? So here's the deal. Let's look at AGIX. And again, this trade didn't hit the exact target, but it went okay. And we could even go back to this one, actually. So here. And I could take you all the way back to, you know, I remember the first trade was this. I found this and was like, this looks good to me. All right. But when I first found it, let's just say price was up here, right? And I drew a trend line. And what I'm always doing is waiting for price action to come down to the bottom of the trend line, and I'm waiting for the stochastics to get low. All right. So very simply put is what I'll do is I'll literally right click right here and right click right here. And what that will do is we'll put an alert system on these. I'm back in time, so it's just putting a line. And then when the stochastics get low past the middle one, I'll get an alert. And I'll I'll look at my computer and be like, all right. And then I'll if the 15 and the 7 are super pinned at that point, I may just enter the trade. If the 15 minutes high, I'll set an alert on the 15 minute and then wait for them both to kind of reset. You see? So let's see, right here. Yeah, back to here. Okay. And this is the anal Sam, who's super trying to make this perfect, And again, sometimes every once in a while it doesn't work, but you'll see if you keep doing it over time, you'll catch moves that are pleasant, really nice. So I'll look at the chart and let's see, we'll go back to the 1 hour. And I'll see, say, okay, the 1 hour is coming on down. It might be, say the first alert hits and you're somewhere right here. And I put a blue line right there. And then I go to the 15 and I check the 15 on the blue line. Blue lines are cool too because they'll tell you where you're at on different time frames, but the same place. So this is super low, right? But the 1 hour is not low yet. I want the 1 hour to get low. So I'm waiting for the 1 hour to come down to the dot, if it can, down to the dotted line. That's the best risk. It's not going to happen. It's going to happen 80% of the time. And there might be 20% where the price action doesn't, but you can even test this and look at it. Mainly it's going to come that one kind of half did it there So that's another, and this is what I'm attempting to be. So then it comes down low. Once it comes down low, I'll switch back to the 15 minute and look at the 15 minute again. And if the 15 minute is super low, right there, or say the 15 minutes high, here, I'll put an alert on the 15 minute to come low. And because you would get in at 17, but the 15 minute brings you back down to 16 cents. Now you could still get in on the 1 hour and forget about it, right? So that's this is and then once the 15 minute hits, I look at the chart, and if I want to be super insane, I go to the 7 and I check the 7 at that point. All right. And if the 7 is low, then I'm all right, I'm really confident that I'm, and then I look for a bullish divergence in the 7 minute. If I get in this one had it there, and so I get a bullish divvy on the 7, this goes swing up to swing up while the whole thing kind of swung down, and then you're low oversold there. So then you get oversold and I did this. You can do this by backtesting. You can be well, where was the goodest place to get in? You put a blue line. You'd be all right, the 7 minute was low on there, on that blue idea, right? The 15 minute was low there on that one. And the 1 hour was also low. So you're okay, that was a good entry. All three of those were oversold. So I pieced this together over time and then tried to figure out my best way to backtest myself into it. You know what I mean? I fell into this. No one taught it to me. And people will probably end up stealing it from me, I guess, over time. But I hope not. But I knock on wood. People actually kind of, I guess, already have in a way. So, but this is the idea, but the thing is, you have to use this over time and get savvier and savvier with it, right? And again, you could be and that's why, again, my theory, and if you're trading in my trading group and you're swing trading, if you're building a bag, fine, and you're DCAing, that's one thing. But if you're going to swing trade with me and you're looking for a day in profits or, weekly profits, stuff like that, and these are the things you're looking for, I'm going to be always looking to sell 50 to 70% of my initial position at the initial high with a stop loss that gets brought to break even. And that's why this type of trade, could have brought back down. And then what happens is may get stopped out at this point, right? And then what I did is I stick with the trade though. I don't leave the trade. I ended up drawing this and then I'm back to my same shenanigans again with, okay. And so when I went back in time here and I was here and first I was high on the 1 hour. And so I was okay, let's see. Let me go back in time enough. Yeah, so I go and I look, and I'm like, okay, here's a pattern. And the same goes for like buying support and resistance for diagonal support and resistance. I mean, resistance, resistance, resistance. Like, I don't want to buy resistance. Like, I want to buy support. Support's on the bottom trend line, touching, support, 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 right? So I want to buy a low stochastic. So again, like, I can put the two alerts here again, right? The first one may hit. Ding a ding a ding, ding a ding a ding. Both of them will hit. Both of them hit pretty quickly, I know it's a dump too. By my alerts now, I know when something, because I'm like, well, those alerts were close, and like one hit, and then a few minutes later, I was like, wow, that price action is going fast, So now I'm like, okay, low, and this is even kind of a double bottom, right? And then again, I go back over to that 15 minutes high now. I could set the same alerts here, right? See if that 50-minute can come down, give me an alert. Boom. And now I can buy into the price action, right? If I want to be super crazy, I go to the 7 and I get in. And if the 7 minutes low, and I've been watching, and get me, when I finally do this, I've been watching the coin for like 4 days too. Like, and I'm not saying all day long, but I spend 5 or 10 minutes retweaking the pattern, taking a little guess, writing something down, remembering this is what I want to trade, maybe just sit, like, I like to set these vertical alerts and just right click them, because I know price has to pass them. I'm back in time, but this would say set alert, and I'd hit it right there, because price has to go past it, because I used to set alerts on all different things, and like, all right, things might hit, things might pass, but like price action will pass this blue line, and so if I really I could set 2 of them too, and I have, I guess, like, once you get a pro account or whatever, you have, it's like a limited account, but unlimited alerts, but. And this is like, this is like my little way of figuring it out, and this played out very well on this trade here, right? It ended up getting like, and sometimes you get into this position and it goes sideways, but you get a good, what I found is nothing's perfect in trading, but the effort and time that I put into figuring this out and how it played out for me, and it is just like it works here bullishly. You can flip it upside down, and then it's the same concept. Like, we get high on the Stoke, and then we get high on the Stokes, and so you can see how I'm using these stochastics with the support and resistance of the pattern, or and which a lot of times coincides with the actual support and resistance too. Like, look, tap tap tap, and we're also hitting the diagonal trend line. At one point and then it's an M pattern, and I know M's break down, and there's some simple things I throw in at the end too. Yeah. So, have you ever had alerts not hit? I don't know, honestly. I've set so many that it's possible, but I don't know. Yeah, that's why I always set like 3 alerts. Like, I'll set 2 and I'll set 1. I would have to say no, because I always set like more than 1 alert for the same kind of thing. Like, I set the line and the 2 lines for me, Yeah. So that's like, and that, to me, again, let me go back in time here. I'm going to explain something to you. It doesn't have to be like, that's like, if you want to take it to the next level, like there's different people in my group, like, just like, say we were in a math club or something, like, or whatever it is, and there's levels to this, right? And at the same time, like, and we traded so many of these flags. These are giving me like memories now. The memories. This one did a look at the retest it did. Boom. Bullish retest of the trend line. But like here, same idea. Like, you were low in the Stokes. And so, like, another thing you could do is, like, you don't have to go back in time like I did and go 15 and all that. You find a bullish pattern, right? It makes sense to you. Price action must be touching that white line. The 21-day moving average should be near it, around it. That's another prerequisite of mine. Like, see how it was there near it and we got the move? This little flag, I remember playing out too. Same idea, sending triangle, price action touching the white line. The same flag, this, whatever flag it is, I don't care. But and look, tight moving averages there, got the party started. That's when this thing really started to kick off. Back at 4 cents, 4.5 cents. But this idea here is like it came down, it bounced low. So, and because what I forget is I'm teaching people strategy and idea, and I'm open-minded, and I've been trading for like such a period of time that I forget what it was like to like be a true absolute starter in this. I do try to keep a beginner's mind and remind myself of beginner's mind, but I forget what it's like when I like to actually. And what they've opened up my eyes to too is like, when I teach this strategy, everyone thinks that has to be that way. So like every time they try to get in, they're looking at all and they're getting, So my idea is this too, like we can also just take our long position, it could be high, and just wait for the stochastics to get low, and if you want to back it up with the 15-minute, you can. I mean, you don't have to, right? And then just set a stop loss like below a previous area of support and resistance that makes sense. So, and I do this too, like, days when I'm really in on the trade and I'm putting more money and it's a scalp of bigger money, I'm using the strategy that I just showed you, and I'm looking at multiple time frames. And if I miss it, I miss it, because that's good. Like if I wait for the 15-minute to come down and the price actually just pumps, and it's kind of like, all right, because like I wanted it to do exactly what my system wanted it to happen, and that way it would have played out, And so it's like I don't mind if the system, I want it to go that, like, if that makes sense. Like I want it to follow through with my vision. So it's okay if like not everything goes exactly as probability and I end up missing. Because it's like I can do it again and again until one of those does hit my terms. Yes, like I want to keep setting my terms out to the market, and I want to wait till my terms get filled. You know what I mean? In my mind, like my set of rules, like and I don't want to trade any other terms. Like, and yes, sometimes you're not going to hit every trade. There's no way you know what I mean? Because the probability is just not going to fit that that it's going to fit the cookie cutter. But over time, you will gain an edge on your, and sometimes you'll tweak your terms if you have to, and you'll be, you know what, I like the narrative's too big for this. I'm not going to wait for the 15-minute to come down. It's happened to me. Like it's been a low 1 hour, a low 4 hour, the 15 minutes been high, and I said, you know what, I'm jumping in. Like, and a couple times I've regretted it and been like, you know what, why did I do that? Like, and the price gone lower, and and I had to wait it out or whatever. And if in a couple times it's pumped hard, and I'm like, man, wow, I'm happy I didn't wait for that to come all the way down. So, like, there's a catch to whether you win or lose that. What happens to some traders is they'll learn my system and they'll miss like 2 or 3 times because they'll be waiting for the 15-minute, and it'll be some hot coin or whatever, and like, they'll be in some high volume area, and they're like, man, I missed that trade again. Like, it pumped anyway, and like, I'm not getting this. I don't like, and it's like because, and so I always want to repeat this idea that that. So sometimes I'm waiting perfectly for that entry. Other times I'm just going to set up on the 1 hour and set a proper stop loss that makes sense. And, just give the trade it's time to breathe. Risk 7% to gain 46, and either 6-1 ready. Me, I probably would have gone way lower down to here and made this a third. Definitely would have went to a 3.35, like, just because that's just my ratio. Like, I like, now there was a way better trade here, but that's far riskier for me, because like there's such a chance a wick could come down and you just might, Here you also have the 200-day, the 200 SMA, and the price action. I'm telling you right now, if you can ever achieve this goal, if you can achieve this entry, 200 SMA somewhere in between, anywhere in between somehow, and then have this be a 3 or 1 or better, like, to me, that's a risk factor trifecta that I really go for when I'm looking for a trade. All right? A risk factor trifecta that, like, I'm just really, okay. One thing I also wanted to talk about tonight is I'm not a CPA or an accountant, all right? But I did want to talk about taxes a little bit for anyone that, needs guidance or whatever. Like, so say you are a tutor like me, and I tutor and people paid in cryptocurrency, right? So what I did is at the end of the year, I print out a sheet that Binance gives you, and it can show you all the money that you took in, and you give it to your accountant and say, this is cryptocurrency that I made. Please put it in as income. It's that simple, number one. That's like the first thing, right? Number two, there's trades and capital gains to be had, right? Coinily was really where I had the best success, all right? And I even have a link for it if you want to use it. You know, I do get a referral. But I'm really just trying to help you. If you use it, fine. If you don't, do whatever you want, right? What if your Binance account gets closed and you can't print it out? Has that happened? You know what I mean? At that point, I would go back in time unless I was an insane day trader with extreme trades. Like, that's a little bit of a mess. But, you know, so I can't advise you. I honestly can't answer any of these questions because I can't advise you on it. I switched from Bitcoin Tax to Coinily because Coinily handles margin trading better for KuCoin. Yeah, I had Bitcoin.tax too, and I had to leave it. And then I tried another one that like halfway through just decided they weren't going to like support certain things, and just like it just ended up being weird too. So this was really easy. You made an API. You know, if you don't know how to make an API, it's very simple. You go to your security section. You click down, it says API. You click on the word API. All right. It's going to bring you there. It's going to ask you probably a few security questions. And then you want to do read only, though. At the bottom, you'll see a few settings. You want to do read only on the API. All right. When you get to like, you know, and you'll see it. And honestly, the other ones usually are like withdraw and all that. You'll see it. And just, you have to click on them. Coinbase is giving me. Seems like I want. Wow, that's weird. It's weird too. I haven't gone onto Coinbase in a while. I have to like reset Coinbase up too. It's funny because I changed banks and stuff. So that's another thing for me. I've been like going all crypto and just using like those crypto cards, like, and just, you know, I don't know, like leaving a lot of crypto in crypto. They make it hard right now to like, you know, be 100% crypto for sure. But just, you know, this is tax season. My taxes were done. I paid them already, actually. No return for me. I'm paying taxes this year. But yeah, my taxes are done. And I finished them with my accountants, like I'd say 3 weeks ago to a month ago almost now. And I did this and I went through it all, and it worked really nice. They make really nice forms. You can pick the different forms you need. It seems to be really give you the right form you need in many different countries. It just, you know, I made 2 accounts without realizing it. One with my email. Oh, that's crazy. Interesting. Yeah. That's the only thing too. I don't know if MEXC integrates. Maybe they do. Let's see here if they're here. Funny, it's not even in alphabetical order, so looks like they must, because they have almost every. They have, if they have BitPay, then they have because BitPay was like an old exchange that like, I actually own that coin, BPay, like, wow. A lot of B's, C's. There's Mex. They have Mercatox. There's Mex Global right there. Unbelievable. They have Mercatox. That's an old one. They have like everything. This is insane. They've done their homework. Like, they have like dusty old exchanges that I've like forgotten about. That's interesting. So, and they even integrate wallets too. Uphold wallet, Bread wallet, like, so even your Ada Lite, funny, pretty interesting. So I found them to be the best, and honestly, I don't personally have a coupon, but all you have to do is write in like Coinly coupons. I do this all the time. Whenever I go to buy something, I type in the word Coinly coupons and just look. And like March 2023, 30% off Coinly, right? Off all plans, show promo code. Adam Stokes, you know, some guy gets hooked up. I'm telling you, I found one that was 50% off when I did mine. This one right here, Como Unverified, Nice Hash. I use this one. It says unverified, but I used Nice Hash, and I got 50% off my plan on Coinly. And I had to use like the, you know, $300 plan, so it ended up costing me like $180 or something, $150. I saved $150 using the word Nice Hash right here. I didn't find it on this side. I found it somewhere else, but this is what I found. Same thing. It says unverified code. Maybe it doesn't work anymore, but when I used it, it did work. You know, maybe, you know. Yeah, you might have to make another API and do KuCoin features. But this is like, you know, because everyone's like, I made all these things and I got exchange and I can't. And it's like, it's really not that complicated. It's like make an API, connect the exchange, let it sit there for like 2 to 3 hours, go do something else, come back, and this thing is spot on, you know. And I'm only saying because I really like them. Like they seem to be spot on, you know. So, wow, there's so many people. Now it's all right. Show more. Coinly right here. Wow, my team is amazing. But yeah, if anyone wants to use it, you can. I didn't even realize I had an affiliate link. I kind of forgot about it. But I know if I was in a trading group and I just started, and it was this time of year, that I would have like kind of just, I'd be like, what's going on with this? You know? I don't know why it's doing like a direct message. I don't want to do that. Well, let me like see if I pop up the chat again. Everyone in the meeting. Yeah. All right. Really, to me, it was like, and even for me, because like, you know, getting that stuff done and out the way so I could, you know, breathe easy and move on. That was, it's a really big deal for me. Otherwise, I can't really think clearly, you know? So if that eases you, that should ease it eased my life, so it should ease your life, in my humble opinion. Okay. So we went through the dump, and, you know, I don't know, it might have been some people's first real Bitcoin dump. They're pretty, even for me, man, they're pretty scary. I have to, like, nothing scares me, but like, you know, nothing's really scary, but like, there's a lot of, like, there's just something about the way Bitcoin moves that it's just like, right? Like, you feel it. Like, it's like, whoa, like, you know, a few days go by and you're like, oh, wow. Like, and you almost forget, like, what happened. But there was a dump. Like, a dump went down, you know. So I guess this Matic short going to keep going? You know, that's, like, a question on my mind. I mean, right here, that's that little flag. So you have to understand. So we're looking at Bitcoin and the flag on the 15, like, and it was rolling over, right? So then you're like, well, then the shorts might give you a little pump on the 15. And that's not amazing, but I mean, that's 7%. I mean, to me, that's pretty amazing because that's like in 40 minutes after a crazy day of trading too. And just playing the flag, low stochastic. And it's the same thing that I just said. Low stochastic, falling wedge, right? MACD should show like lack of bearish momentum, meaning the pink is coming up and the hill is just really small. I don't know why one time that got to be the same. I'm going to have to like do this right and redo the template. Yeah, but that got to have the curve up, you know. You had falling volume with falling price, which told you that like a reversal would be coming. And even here, there's like slight, it's kind of hidden bullish, class C, because that's, you know, way farther of an up angle than that. but it's like a class C hidden bullish, you know, because the angles aren't opposite. Which one was cheaper than which one? Let's see. So you obviously used, I like Coinly. I'm just saying, like, I can't answer that question by which one was cheaper because, like, the experience on Coinly was just far more enjoyable. If you have less than, like, I think 500 trades, you can use, like, the $100 one and then get 50% off. Then it goes up to, like, 150, and then it goes all the way to, like, I don't know, $200-300. I had to use their, like, it, you know, it searched, to me, it searched, like, I don't know, like, it said 2,000 transactions. It's something out of control. I don't know, like. But it was from like the year before. But a lot of things I did sell that I had held. You know, it's like there was like, I don't know. There was it had to scan a lot of data, right? Chrome, KROM, interesting. Remember, be careful. He just asked me to look at it. We don't. A Chromatica. I think I've seen $4.9 million. I believe we went over this one time. Maybe not. Let me see. When did it come out? Somewhere in March of last year. It's like a year old. I think there's a chance I went over Chromatica for some reason. But reminds me of Grammatica, right? I believe he was a hockey player, right? $5 million. No, he was a quarterback. Grammatica, right? Yeah. He was a quarterback in the NFL. Or no, he was a kicker. Grammatica's a kicker. He was a kicker in the NFL, right? Now you guys maybe, yeah. Grammatica. I believe he was a kicker, if I'm correct, right? Bill Grammatica. Yeah, he's a kicker. He's 44 now. He's like he was one of the oldest dudes in the NFL. I don't know if he still plays in the NFL. Anyway, sorry. Chromatica Finance. Let's take a look. To DEX, make DEX trading simple, accessible, and affordable on the ETH layer 1s and layer 2s. I mean, that can make you money. You know what I mean? It's, you know, and the DApp really works. So I'd have to kind of mess around with it and take a look at it. But it has a, you know, if the product is working and it is nice, you know, it's interesting. $5 million market cap, decentralized exchanges have a narrative because of what's happening, right? Oh yeah, people can draw on the chart. I forgot this now. Somehow, like, other people can draw on the chart, right? Because it's not me drawing on the chart. Like, so look, it's on MEXC too. Interesting. Let's take a look at it. Chromatica. So you know what I mean? I'm always looking at it on the daily time frame. So look at that. I mean, look at the narrative. Came out and actually is up, like isn't in a dump. Bit of an enlarged cup and handle there. You see that? Definitely a falling wedge, double bottom. And it's not the best cup and handle. Like, it's lopsided for sure, you know, but it has some vibe. I've seen these. They kind of have like a race. They're like Nike. I call them Nike cup and handles. They feel like racing. You know, they have like a movement. But like this, and I call them Nike, like the, you know, number one Nike, the god of speed. But Nike, you know, the way the logo has the, you know, like this is a Nike logo. See. So I label these Nike cup and handles, you know, for whatever reason. That's my little touch on TA. But so touching this, nice move to the upside too, man. I mean, that guy mentioned it today, so maybe, I don't know if he has a huge channel, but daily looks like it's just getting started too, and it could really go up. Thinking the 4 hours probably spent. And so, like, what I would be looking at is like just consolidation on the 1 hour time frame. You know, if it can consolidate, like anything, maybe it pumps up a little more and then consolidates. Like, no guarantees yet, but like, I don't know anything about the coin. I'm just getting my feet wet. I'm going to start my first projection, right? And I know that price, and again, I know it's going to do what most things do. So price action is going to have to touch the 21. Is it more of a downtrend or an uptrend? Does it retest this area here? Because that would be like a pretty good limit order, right? Bing. So just things to think about for me, if I'm into this and I do want to wet my whistle. Now, it might be harder to swing trade, right, with less volume at 5 million, right, 500 to $1,000. After you get into 10,000, you might be like, moving the market sometimes, or 20 grand. I don't know exactly how much. I've never back tested 5 mil, but so yeah, I mean, cool new coin on the radar. We'll mark it down. Thank you for Chromatic. Yeah, so we just went low down, and it looks like we got to 19,008 almost, and filled some orders down here. And it's funny, that buy wall that we had earlier just like this one right here. Look, we shredded through it. Now look, you got 19,800 hitting the shorts to the upside now, 20,090. But now you're just on cleanup duty. Like whoever's just kind of like, now people are on edge. To me, a smart trader's smart money's taking profits on a short that they placed, and they're walking away tonight, and they're like saying, they're cracking their fingers. They're like, I don't have to trade anymore. I'll look at the market tomorrow, and that's it. The hungry buddy's trying to figure out, like, whoever was late to the move is now like vexed by emotions, trying to figure out if there's more money left, it's going to go up, if it's going to go down. And like, that's usually who starts these like liquidation frenzies, you know what I mean? Down and up. See, like they came down, like, because there's just like, there's heightened emotion now. I feel it, but I'm not behaving on it, but I feel it. I'm not behaving on it. You know what I mean? Like, oh God, like I can feel markets. I can feel energy, and I don't like to use the word feeling because I only trade, but like there's days when I can just like, oh, market's flat. Like, like tomorrow should be flat, but after all this today, like there could be some, like to me, it seems like there could be some heavy volatility tomorrow because the market got shaken up, What I'm seeing is some nice bullish divergence here on the 15. And the key is, can we make a falling wedge here nice enough to kind of break above the previous high in the wedge? See, I set these little mini missions for myself, right? And if Bitcoin can accomplish the mini mission, then we can begin to talk about a bigger mission. You know what I mean? So I want to see if this can consolidate tight, if it can get a nicer bullish divergence, or stay up here and get a bullish divergence. Will this curve, can we get oversold on the 7? Can we get oversold on the 15? Can we get oversold on the 1? And can we get some type of bounce here, right? Really ballsy to long 20,000 at this point. And remember, like, we don't have to long this stuff. Like, if it ever did get back inside this pattern and it went sideways, like, I could wait and, like, long this. Or it could even bounce up here and here, and I could long that, right? Everyone always wants to, like, long the first thing because they miss it. But, like, set your support and resistance. And if price action can get back above it, then long that. Kind of ideas to think about. So, like, and that's why it's really important to know support and resistance. And it may be somewhat confusing for some people, like, why did I just choose this line? But you can see, like, we stopped there. Fine, these two lines wicked out, but we already have this area that we know we kind of match. And then we kind of came up, but we stopped there for sure. We stopped there for sure. And we even kind of stopped in this, somewhere in here, like right there. We came below it. And even like a candle right next to that candle. If you really zoom in, you can see, like, resistance and resistance, resistance. You can bring it, And I always say to people, it's like a range, like, if even no matter how good your line is, your mind should kind of be seeing like a little bit of a bubble around your line. Whether you draw the bubble or not, that's just an understanding for me when it comes to support and resistance. And knowing those lines are important because if you don't, it's going to be a lot harder to understand where price action is likely going to go. So, like, we got here, the fact that we didn't bounce there is pretty interesting. But we kind of sat in the little, we played around and then we got rejected by 25. So at least we tried to get back in there, and then we got a bearish retest, fell lower to 20,000. Now 20,000 psychological too. You have to remember, no matter what you got support or resistance as, you're going to have psychological support or resistance. That's just what you're going to have. So 20K is always going to be a place that Bitcoin's going to battle, because there's going to be people that know nothing about TA. They're going to be like, oh, I'll buy 20K when it hits 20K again, when it was at 25. It had to have been a destination for some people. So, you know, I wouldn't be surprised if we did get a punch all the way back out to the upside. You know, we are very oversold when we got pushed down. And usually, you know, a dump that happens when the 4 hours low is a dump. But a lot of times a dump that happens when you're already super low and you get plus down low can give you that V-shaped recovery, because you're pressing down on the momentum indicators in such a way that, like, they've already been, you know, it's like an elastic that's been stretched, and then you're deciding to extra stretch it a little more. You're likely to get that swing catalyst back to the upside, right? So back to positional strength here. What are we doing? What are we looking at? Well, you know, a lot of guts to long Bitcoin with a stop loss below like 19,004, honestly, is like, you know, that's your next like big major area, right? Maybe you could even keep it a little, you know, and there's a chance. I mean, that chance that plays out because you're starting to get oversold, and there's a pretty nice bullish divergence on the 15-minute now, which is, you know, better than what we've seen previously. Let's see if where was the last like substantial bullish divergence on the 15 that was like that. Kind of there, you know, swing down, and that was your last time you had at least, you broke the previous high. All you can ask for is when you find 15-minute bullish divergence. Really, you can extend it to bigger time frames and then start to play into that, but all you can ask for on that time frame is that you should make a high above the high inside of the divergence. Okay, so like if this is the divergence area here, you should make a high higher than this high. Okay. That makes sense? And, you know, if more comes to that, so be it. So, like, swing trading this scenario over and over again can be, you know, profitable. Here it is again. Like, this is swinging down, but the RSI is swinging up. And all you're trying to do, once you get above here, can raise the stop loss into profit or break even, then raise it more. And then, you know, everyone's always going for the whole thing. But, like, what if you just were able to, what if you got really good at nailing 6 or 7%, like over and over again? You could do it 3 or 4 times a day, and you really like the 15-minute bullish divert. You know what I mean? Like, you can decide what time frames you want to kind of create a strategy on. Like, I personally like to swing trade the most, you know, like this short, it's a nice swing trade. It didn't take, you know, it took a few, you know, you get into it, you start swinging into it on the 6th, might even start getting in, maybe you might get in a little even early on the 5th, right? And then you start adding to the position, then the M happens, you might add a little more, you might add some more in here. And then, so like, and honestly, this trade takes 3 days, you know, so my favorite types of trades take 3 to 5 days. I'm a swing trader by, I guess I would call myself a swing trader. All right. I like to do 3 to 5 day swing trades. That's my personal, like, you know, bread and butter, whatever, right? Number one, I have a family. I have people to tutor. I have a life, right? If I was day trading the 1 minute time frame, I wouldn't be here for you people right now. If I had 5 trades open on 10x leverage, right? Like, that would probably be my priority in my mind. No matter how bad I tried to peel my subconscious away, I wouldn't be able to give myself to the group, man. Like, you know, so for my lifestyle and my profession and what I do, like, I found a trading style that works for me. You know, sometimes I miss, like, and it doesn't mean I won't, like, when I'm trading live with everyone, like, I scalp, and it doesn't mean sometimes I don't scalp smaller time frames, like the 7. And, you know, I remember scalping 14 grand on the 1 minute and the 5 minute, you know, on the live stream a few times. So, like, I'm sure I'll get back to it, you know, even just for like the kind of the you know, just trading live. But you know, I like to swing trade. It's really cool. I'm really happy to hear that you traded the 5 minute and you hit a few trades, because it's just exciting to, you know, what's good about the smaller time frames And what I to me equate it to is, say I just learned how to play basketball, and you told me, and there was like a hoop here, and like there's two hoops, right? Whatever, horrible hoops, but. And I'm on the court, and you're telling me that I have to like dribble back and forth, take a shot, dribble here, take a shot, and like, 2 hours go by, and like, why couldn't I just like shoot at this hoop over and over again? Like, very similar, and I equate that to like the 5 or trading a smaller time frame, because you get you try to learn from the 1 hour and the 15, but like it's going to take time for all of these things to play out. So like whether you win or lose, you're going to have to figure out in a longer period of time. The 5 minute, like this gentleman just said, took him a smaller amount of time to win or lose. However, as a beginner, there's a lot of more emotions behind the smaller time frame. So for me, I had to kind of slowly I had to warm up. I don't know what I'm looking at there. Oh, pumping to the 200. That's what you were saying. I'm so sorry. It's so funny how I remember the comment from the live. It was just for you. Okay, thank you. Sorry. Yeah, see what you just said, the smaller time. Some people, I've talked to someone the other day, and I told them like, my training, and he's like, oh, I can't take those time frames. I just, I need that instant rush. Like I want to be on the, like, I like the 5 minute, not the 1 minute. And I'm like, see, and then you say to me, you're more like me. You're like, dude, I can't take those smaller time frames. I like the 4 hour. Over time, Brandon, you may warm up to like the 1 hour and the 15. Like I'm warming up. It's taking me time, and I'm but it's yeah. I just don't understand what it's saying. That's all. It looks cool. Double top, down bar. I just don't. I don't know. I have no idea what the chart conveys. Like it just looks like the chart. I don't know. Doesn't seem like it's saying anything. So there's the loss 20K, right? And there's that dump on the 15-minute time frame that we were like looking at, right? We started this with this idea. It might be on another chart, but right, and that the 15-minute was going to come down because it was high on the stochastics. Like to me, this stuff is just simple. Like I just do what the stochastics tell you to do, right? And again, like you had a high here, you came down, your next high is lower than that, then you should go lower. Your momentum indicator reset and you had nothing to give. It's like you went to the gym on Tuesday, you went to the gym 2 days later, and you couldn't even lift the same amount of weights you could lift before. Like what happened? Like where is it? Right? The problem is people's emotions are too attached. Like they can't handle seeing Bitcoin go down. So they're like, so when they see this as and that was me for a couple of years. Like my TA was sound, and I just wouldn't listen to it because I was that stubborn of my ego was probably in the way. Like I had, I was like, no, like, that can't happen. Like I don't want, it's like I emotionally couldn't handle it happening, so I had to tell myself it wouldn't, and that's just ridiculous. That was like true insanity. So eventually, if you keep trading like me, you'll get in. It's like being in the army. Like you'll just get in line. That's what I love about trading. It's I believe it's like the army of life. Like you will make your bed. Like either you'll quit this or you will get situated. You'll get a whiteboard. You'll get an Excel spreadsheet. Whenever I post a coin, you'll write it down, right? Like this Chrome one, you'll have an Excel spreadsheet and you'll write this thing down. You never know, man. The thing is, if we've open-minded and never know, that's how I found the coins. But if I was just like, oh, whatever, like none of these are whatever, like then the one would have went that was whatever, and I would have grabbed it and it would have just went on. But like I did 100x Safe Moon. I did find Shiba Inu on the low. I did find Cake when no one really paid attention. Like why? Who knows? I think it's because I'm so open-minded and I was willing to believe that a big thing could happen to me too. Like I was willing to believe that I could 100x. Like I didn't know how. I thought it was almost. I thought 100xing was simply almost impossible. But I knew that some people did it and it could be done, And then I met my guy, Mr. Lifestyle, and I did videos for that dude, the Crypto Lifestyle, and like he was known as Mr. 100X. Like, he 100X once or twice. Like, even in bear, like, he did it in like 2019, 18, and like 20 or something crazy, you know? And I was like, all right. Well, he also found, you know, super awesome. Like, he got into with DuckDAO, and he knew, like, he understood the whole ecosystem before most people, and because of his knowledge, he could figure out how it was moving, and he was able to understand incubators, and, you know, invest in incubators, and then start to know what project. It's just like he got into like he knew what he was doing, you know. But again, you're looking for this divergence, which is getting stronger and stronger the more this gets extended, right? Because look, your RSI isn't really, you know, and this is what you're looking for divergence. You're looking for price action to continue, but the momentum indicator telling you that you're like running out of momentum, which is strange, but that's what divergence is all about. So right now we're attempting to watch a live form of divergence. And again, it doesn't mean it's going to play out, you know. That's why I'm using like really small time frames to see, like, is this going to bear flag again? Because like here, look, another bear flag. There's your measured move. Okay. But we already knew on the 15 that we were coming down because we were oversold in the stochastic. And I went over this kind of as an example, and now we're able to see this, you know, idea live. It's nicer when they're side by side, but I know this is insane. But if you could, like this is an M pattern, even though you can't see it, right? It's technically an M. It's just like the M was here, and then it came down and made like its right M. But like, it's another high that just doesn't have it. And look, there's even a high volume node sticking out here that's telling you, oh, well, you'll lose that now, and you'll come down to the volume area low, which is 19.5. And now that you've lost 20,000, what's your psychological area? Is, you know, 19,500. Now a short squeeze, of course, right? Just to get everyone who thinks, oh, it can't keep going lower, or it can't keep going. And it has to reverse right now, or they think, or they jump in right now, like right in that red candle, they jump in right now, and then they're gonna have to come back up and just, you know, for whatever reason, liquidate like the last few bits of people. Once that 15-minute gets extended, I feel like the party is over for the night. Like, we'll, you know, the volatility should start to dry up. But like someone said, Tokyo just woke up, right? So, yeah, Bookmap does. I mean, there's not. It's misty out here, right? But you still, yeah, you're right. I mean, it's 19.5, 19.6. Closest orders we can see on the book are lower than, you know. Doesn't mean that's guaranteed. Remember, nothing is guaranteed. It just gives us probability that there's more orders down here than up here right now. This is one of the longest days of analyzing I've ever done. Like, I must have said the word like chart or bar or like over. I mean, it's just like, it's crazy, right? So now you have resistance for Bitcoin at 20,400. You know, that's going to be like a major, you know, in 20K now, even now that we've lost 20K. So still, you know, good time to add to a bag, in my humble opinion. Never a bad time to buy more Bitcoin. This is the first day I don't hear you say, Sammy, cup and handy. Yeah, right? Yeah, I've been staring at the screens. Yeah. Yeah, at one point you just got to lay it off. You know, you got to lay off the chart. You know, you did the best you could. You know, you look at what's out there. You make your assessment. And, you know, it's like, for me, it's hard for me to turn off, you know. I know that many people are into what I'm saying, that many people supporting me in the channel, that many people that want to change their lives. It's like, to me, I feel responsible. Like, I want everyone to eventually leave this situation, you know. And I was stubborn, man. It took me, you know, I was in my, again, I'm not, it would be perfect to say this because, right, oh yeah, we want to be in my trading group forever. But I was in the trading group for 3 years till I started really making money, you know, till I like, and I also like would quit my job, work a little bit, quit my job, work a little bit, and then eventually be able to really full-time dedicate myself to trading. Uh, funny. Yeah, I found this guy too today. Like, and I started watching, I wanted to finish the whole story, but like, and he seemed pretty legit halfway through. Maybe, we'll find it, you guys can tell me how you feel about it. But, $500 to 500 million in 5 years. Like, it just, if you don't read those type of stories, then how do you know? It's like being an artist. You go to the museum and you look at other people's art and it inspires. I always got inspired to make more art when I saw other people's art. I was like, oh, wow, look what he did with watercolor. I was thinking, oh, what could I do? Like sometimes you can extrapolate one idea from another. Like, there's just so many cool ways in which one artist can inspire another, right? They say no idea is truly original. Everyone like has an idea from some type of idea at one point. But look at that. I mean, 1 minute chart, perk to the downside, and now like you just consistently keep making these little bear flags. So there's just no reason why you won't continue to make bear flags until we eventually get some type of sideways price action or such a strong bullish divergence. And like we're starting to build one. I mean, it's good on the 1 hour, on the 1 minute. Is that the same one all the way to the 15? Yeah, so now you're getting a divergence that stretches through multiple time frames. That's somewhat substantial, but again, in a dip at the dip, like when I see massive dips, like I've seen bullish divergences try to. And now you must, like, you can get divergence, but like you got to break 20,004. That's just the new high. Like that's the new previous resistance now. And wow, 19,000. It's just amazing. Like when I look at it, because like I see myself going over to analyze like yesterday or the day before, and I'm like, and if we lose this level, it's 19,000. If we go here, it's 19,800. And it's like, it's happening right now. And there we are, right? This is a joke my dad's friend always told me when I was a kid. I never got it until I got older. I still kind of get it, but he said, what is the difference between a fairy tale and a sea tale, right? And he would just lean in and he'd go, and there we were, that was it, man, But so here, I mean, you're overbought again on the 1 hour time, on the 1 minute. You're starting to make another bear flag, right? And when the volatility kicks in, the smaller time frames are what would drive the market. Yeah, I was always low. I mean, what I think, he was an old fisherman, so I guess the idea is just like you would never start a fairy tale saying like, and there we were, like, that's how you start a real fisherman's tale, like when you out there, like, and like you almost died, like, like, because he got lost in the Bermuda Triangle, no lie, like the boat got cut in half, like my dad, like he almost died, like my dad's good friend, like literally he was one of those Bermuda Triangle stories, like, and he made it out alive, but it was like, apparently it was like very, very close, and he would always tell this joke, and he'd be like, what's the difference between a fairy tale and a sea tale? I'd be like, what? As a kid, right? And he'd be like, and there we were. And I was like 12 years old. And I'm like, he would tell it to me over and over again. And I would like, and now because I'm old, like I think I get it. You know what I mean? It's like, okay, I get it. But it's like, but it's still not funny. You know what I mean? It's just like, it's more of like a passing of the times type of joke. Like as you get older, you think you like things kind of nestle into your brain, right? That like honestly you didn't see before. I'm hitting milestones in my life, like knowing that I'm hitting like I walk my daughter to school and then I'll like walk and I'll think of my life, and it's interesting because I'll walk down a road that I walked down when I was 8 or 9 for the first time. And a road that I spent a lot of time with my friends when I was like 12 or 13. We played hide and go seek. We just, and I'm on that road and I'm like, man, I'm 40 years old. And I'm like, I was just 20. And then I was like, I can remember my 30th birthday. And I can like vision, I almost have nostalgia. I can like see myself running on that street. Like I can see myself playing as a kid or my best friends. And I'm like, and I hear the birds chirping, I see the air, and like I think of you guys, I think of the lifers, I think of my YouTube channel, I think of my life, and I think how I moved back home, and all these things are happening, and it makes me realize like the next 2 years are gonna go by so fast, everybody, like this. Like, and I have to just keep reiterating it because, like, I'm not trying to be off topic. You know, Bitcoin's crazy today, but 2 years are going to go by faster than we realize, you know, and if we have the vision, because time is moving faster than, see how fast Bitcoin's moving right now? Time is moving faster than we realize. And because it's creeping up on us while we're living our day to day, it's going to be a time we'll look back and realize like we didn't pack our bags properly. Like, and what I mean is like crypto, like we may not have stacked enough of, you know, and so I just like, I always want everyone to kind of like really zoom out on your life and realize how quickly the next few years will go by. Because I remember just moving to Boston, and I moved to Boston in March. I basically ran away from New York City in the pandemic. Like, it was crazy. Like, I remember, and when we first moved here, we bought what we could. And then I had to keep going back to my apartment in New York City to get the last remaining things. And, you know, because of the whole, you know, I didn't have room in the car, number one, so my wife couldn't go. So I'd wake up at like 4 a.m., go to the U-Haul thing, pick up this like U-Haul, drive all the way to New York City. Because if I bought the U-Haul in New York City, it cost like $465, right? Because I would bring it in New York City and drop it off in Massachusetts. But I found one in Massachusetts, and they would give me a trailer, and the trailer costs like $100 or like $80 for the day. And so I was like, all right, if I go to New York City and back in the day, and they were like, oh yeah, I was like, I might come when you're closed. They're like, oh yeah, just like there's a locking mechanism and just like drag it into its spot, like number 67, and just like leave the key in this little box and like sign your paperwork, and like there's like an envelope thing. And I was like, all right. And so I always looked at things like that. So I was like, oh, so I would pick up this trailer, drove it all the way to New York. And then I would literally like wear like a gas mask and like clean my hands. Cause like we didn't know, like at the time they were telling us like, it's like contagious, you know, no one would tell us. And all I could see was pictures of people in China falling down on the ground, like that I was getting from a Telegram group. And I was like, oh my God. So I'm like going up and down the stairs, leaving New York. And I just remember it being like such an insane time in my life. And, you know, I did have the channel at that time. I was still doing it, but it was like kind of like a hobby at the time. Yeah, the second you have kids, time, like I look at my daughter and I just can't believe it. I just can't believe it. So divergence is starting to play out a little bit here. You know, we're finally getting the most green candles we've gotten in a while in a row, right? Back above 20K, a little bit of a recovery for Bitcoin. Again, like it now has to get back above at least 20,180. Like, you know what I mean? It has to show me that it can make it back above one of these areas. You have to remember, we're on a small time frame, so we're still in like what looks like a pretty small flag. And now you're even getting overbought. But 15-minute ran its course and reversed after a spike up, right? Insane volatility, really, when you think about it. So I'm going to look at it one last time. I must have looked. I can't believe how many times I've gone over Bitcoin today. At the end of the day, that's what we put on Binance right there, and there it is. It hit the target. Measured move, length of the pole, right? I'll even put it back where it was. And there you go. I mean, 19,800. Checkmate. And it took 1, 2, 3, 2 hours or something. We were double bottom, but we went back up, and then we couldn't make the previous high when the 15-minute was rounding out. And so, dump. And it took about 2 hours, right? And now we're here at 8:33. I don't know how 2 hours just went by. Is that really 2 hours? That's fascinating. So we leave this idea here with very strong bullish divergence in the 15-minute. Very strong. Which tells me we should get some type of bounce, at least. And what you're looking for is a high back above this high. And you can see, what was really cool about this too is you just saw the 15-minute takes about an hour and a half to 2.5 hours, depending. We'll say roughly 2 hours to reset from like when it starts to a dump to when you should probably take some profits and it begins to reset again, right? So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. You know, it could almost kind of 7, 8. You know, that's 2 hours, right? So just, you know, understanding the general feel of the 15-minute, and that's not guaranteed, but in general, you get about 2 hours. And that's what the great thing about trading the 7 or the 15. You don't have to wait all day to find out if your trade will play out, right? Like you'll have some smaller time frame ideas. So now we have to look at this as a possible falling wedge. And can the bullish divergence break it out? And what you have to do is you have to, the measured move here, you've got to break above this high. And to save some face and grace here, Bitcoin has to close a candle. Otherwise, this can continue down. And honestly, like I showed you, everyone, like if you want to do this all night, like you can sit on the 1 minute, and the 1 minute's really just going to keep teaching you. You know, I would just keep drawing patterns with the stochastic and watching how the 1 minute plays out. You got to move above here. You know, if you stay, does the 1 minute start staying inside this pattern? Like, do you come up, hit this, come back? Like, if this hits this and starts to come down, you got yourself a bit of a pattern. Okay. Didn't know the 15-minute played such a big role in trades. You know what I love about the 15-minute the most? Like, just what came up to my mind was this ERG trade way back when. Man, we made so many trades in the last, 5 months. So many amazing trades in the last 5 to 6 months have played out. I always remember this because it was just such a textbook bull pennant. Like my mind still sees it a little bit. Like I'm just scanning, I'm scanning the charts like I always do. I'm just hitting the down button, looking at different charts, going over ideas. And I'm looking closely. And I see this. And I'm like, wow, right? That's great. For me, it's all about price action first. And then I'm like, tight moving averages, 200 outside. I'm like, oh, VRVP, you made it through the gap. You're in the chunky area now. And I'm like, wow, this is nice. This makes sense to me, right? And the point of this is you go back to the 15, and like you said, it just look how much beautiful detail I get on the 15, right? And sometimes if I'm in a trade and I can't, I'll just get a little more insight, like here, that's a low, that's a nice low. This one, maybe the 30 of the 1 hour was a little better because it was bigger, had bigger action, but and again, oversold stochastic. Remember, that's why I'm using stochastics RSI, because when they're low, that's my low pattern area. That's when the pattern's touching the bottom of the pattern. And so I've learned this. I've backtested this. This is my bread and butter, right? Buying low patterns with low stochastic. If you just make this you just don't break this rule. I only have I can't buy something. The only time I can buy if it breaks out, and then usually it'll come down. And what happens is that's when the stochastics will reset too, and you'll have low stochastics on the reset, right? We tapped the December 11, 2017 high to the dollar. Interesting. And Matic now battling a bean again, It's just funny. So that's why, always DCAing in a bear market, right? Always adding little bits by little bits, never going all in. And I'm not going to bury that AI portfolio. What I'm going to do is actually, I haven't put it on CoinGecko. I'm going to put it on. I was supposed to do it today. I actually told myself, I was like, put it on CoinGecko. I forgot. Just was busy. But I'm going to put it on CoinGecko, and we will, I'll post it. By this weekend, I'll have it on CoinGecko. So there you go. And I'm a man of my word, so I will do it. Right here. Whenever I say that, I'm like, you better. So I'm like, hey, Siri. Set set a reminder to put AI coins on CoinGecko. All right. All right. So let's look at token metrics coins real quick. Usually not the best in a Bitcoin dump, but we still might find something new. And if we stay open-minded, that's how it works. So I'm going to stay open-minded. Just like to go through all what they're looking at. So someone brought up DAO Maker, and I felt bad because I was like, that's Maker DAO. But I'd never heard of DAO Maker. Like, I didn't know what the heck it was. But, like, I eventually found out DAO Maker. And honestly, I found it, too. And then I was like, wow, it's actually more bullish than I realized, right? And so of all the coins, right, even be like, it's still, somewhat pretty bullish. So this thing's on the radar, honestly. And it might even just pump back to the top of the channel, pattern traded 6% there, not amazing, but this is on the radar. I'm starting to look at this now. See the alert there. DAO Maker instead of Maker DAO. This is DAO Maker. So apologize if that person's here. I didn't realize what the heck this was. So this is something on the radar. Again, we're not gonna be like posting tons of, like, I'm gonna watch for the dust to settle, watch for what Bitcoin does. Short's really still in control until we can get some type of candle close above a resistance. Now we just want to see if we can close, we can stay above, tomorrow close can stay above 20K. Like, that's all, like, that's like one step at a time. TEM down, Metas, MLS. We're getting some V-shaped recoveries, like, on some little coins, right? That one's pumping up. It's funny, this coin was just bullish no matter what. Remember, first I had it in this, right? Then it kind of fell, but then I redrew it. Then it eventually came from the bottom of the pattern and eventually pumped hard. It's weird, no matter what Bitcoin did, this thing just ended up being a mover. I remember looking at Kylan all the way back down. A lot of things are back to their points of control. Ascent 718 or 706 fib looking. That looks like it just hit the stop. Look at that. That just hit the stop loss and then came right back up into the pattern area. I don't trust these high coins right now. Once Bitcoin's somewhat stable and the market looks all right, they're all right. But when the market's like sketchy, amazing screen share, Sam. Thank you, and everyone. This group is the best. Anytime, man. I hope you enjoy it. I put in as much effort as I can. I never knew exactly what it's like on the other side, right? I mean, this is at the support section and this is the golden, resistance there, came all the way back down, and that's the golden pocket right there. So this is definitely something on the radar. I definitely think we should pay attention to APT. And, it was a big trending coin too, And nobody knows, but if you just keep hitting golden pockets over and over again, like, they pay out over time. So and like, I never DCA'd into app. Could be a good time to add some app. This one, for all intents and purposes, isn't down that bad compared to most coins, and it was hot. So this is another one on the radar. Hash flow, small market cap, But this is definitely something I'm looking at. I don't own any of this at all, just to make it clear, but could come lower to that point of control and the 618. 75.75. It's actually getting overbought on the 4 hour, which is funny, as if it like. But the daily looks amazing. I might like just studdle around for a couple more days, wait for the 4 hour to reset again. But this is just, you know, I'm still watching this thing. And that is my HFT. Launch block protocol. Or LBP, was it? Is that, no, LPP, right? LPB. I don't know why it's not coming out. Launch block, right? LB, maybe it's LBP. This one was super low, so it was like, how could it get sold off, right? It was, and it still even got sold off a little bit. But I see what you're saying, like it's getting bunched up. Tiny market cap, definitely probably like, you know, but definitely on the radar. I right-click that and add it to the bunched up to the 200 daily SMA and waiting list. Low, high, first, you know, second, you know, low, higher, low, kind of low, you know, double bottom. One more oversold kind of signal, and that thing could definitely take off. Gets above that point of control, bing. Been tight for a while. So Quinta, never heard about it. They got in today, all right, for whatever reason. XDC still on their radar. Dow Maker on their radar, which is interesting. Someone just brought it up. I didn't even, and Avagoche. So, you know, I would write XDC down, Dow Maker, Quinta, possibly, you know, strong. I mean, they have a narrative. Even just being on these lists to me is like, well, why, you know. Origin Dollar, True, XDC Network. So this is the KuCoin holdings. And I even go through these again too. Okay. And spend some time deep diving which ones, and then I start looking at them. XCAD, or was it, I was trading XTAG. Okay. And I felt like that was kind of moving with hash flow because it has the word hash in it. You know, and honestly, if you compare this to the other coins recently, it actually, you know, it was up, came back down, and this, you wouldn't even have lost money in this today. So the market could have tanked, and like this thing just, you know, just stayed pretty. So this is a strong coin on my radar. XTAG. They said XCAD too, which we used to trade. XCAD network. Looks a lot like XTAG. Interesting, right? Like identical to it. something going on there, right? Like XTAG, XCAD. Both came back down, but obviously are, you know, look pretty strong comparative to the rest of the market. So they like XCAD. That's on the radar. About to get, you know, tight moving averages. You front run the Golden Cross. Yeah, it pumped, but it could come back up. I mean, it could continue to go back up again. Stays above the point of control. It stays strong with tight moving averages. So this is on the radar. So I guess, you know, we are finding a few little things here. I don't want to get too excited here, you know, and overpost. What happens is I work so hard, I just overwork myself into like a workaholic oblivion. Like, because I was up at 5:45 this morning, just grinding in the charts. Like, can you do a quick takedown, take advantage of it? I have the basic plan. I feel like I can barely take advantage of anything but the lists. Yeah, I honestly want to like deep dive token metrics in total and do like a whole like overview on it. Honestly, if I spent all the times on token metrics today, it's like 8:49. So like we'll have to like bring that into next week's session. And I have things I could learn too. I don't know everything. You know, I'm not gonna look at you and tell you I know it all. I do not. It's a pretty big program. Add it to my list. So they like this Quintet. Look, don't buy Inu. That's hilarious. You got to hand them that. Like, you got to laugh. Like, who doesn't think that's hilarious? Don't buy Inu. What everyone else also I want to put out there is, do you ever watch the stream and like feel FOMO for a coin that you missed? Right? Now you're watching price action and it's dumping, right? And all you're thinking is the emotions of like, why you could have shorted the market, could have just these are things that happened to me when I first started too. Oh yeah, then I did Peter. Interesting. He has 99 in his name. It's funny. So my point of the story, as I'm saying, is right now, flip the script on yourself and turn it into a positive. Was there a coin that was pumping hard that you didn't get a chance to grab, or that you didn't get a chance to trade, that maybe, in the next 2 weeks now, it's reset and there's a chance that there could be, a nice little move on it now. Like, these resets are great for the market. If you think about it, it just gives the altcoins more leg back to go back up again, right? So it's not the worst thing in the world. We trade small cap coins that can move. But like what I'm saying, like Caspa, like we're going to look at Casper in a second, but see how they got Casper on the radar. District OS, Loom Network, ACLX, it's interesting that they have that on there. Ren was a bit of a mover before everything got kind of crazy. Ren was moving. Floki's been interesting, right? It's been holding its own and keep kind of hearing about it. LTO Network was a Chinese coin, I remember, that can get a bit of a pump too. Pivx is a tiny micro payment coin. Velo was hot. I think they got labeled as security recently, but whatever. As long as it trades, I guess. But just something to kind of think long term. And then on other things on my radar are Rocket Pool and Lido Dalby, just because, yes, they may suffer some movement down in the market, but RPL, USDT. If you remember when we first kind of started talking about Rocket Pool, 25 cents. It did damage all the way up to 59 cents, right? We talked about it at 25 cents before it even got onto KuCoin. I was all over it and talking about it. And we did find it on token metrics, but I was also looking at it, and I think I overheard it on a conversation. Someone saying, well, Rocket Pool can do layer, and I started researching the layers, and I said, well, Rocket Pool and Lido DAO. And we got liquid staking, and that's our next big video coming out for you. Like the AI video is the liquid staking video. We're going to explain exactly what's happening, what's going on, the different ways they react. We're going to compare Lido DAO to Rocket Pool. That video is going to blow your mind. It's going to be edited well. It's going to be narrated properly. It's a written script. It's beautiful. I can't wait for that to come on out. I'm always asking the editor, when are we done? When are we done? So look out for that video. It's coming out. We're doing more and more informative, like, want to be like the National Geographic of YouTube. We want to give you videos that really explain things, that take you down a path, give you a story, and do it all within like 8 to 10 minutes and give you like, and decently edited with perfect sound, good video, high quality lenses and cameras, and just, hitting it the way it should be hit. So Rocket Pool, came all the way back to 34, but not at the lows it's at. Does it go even lower? There's a chance, but it's beat. It's hit to the ground pretty hard right now. So Rocket Pool is just something I would look at only because I know it has a use case. And once people get more excited about DeFi again, they run right back into staking, and, it'll do what it does. So that is, yeah. So think about it. I don't mind speculating on a chart or on a tiny coin or something like that and getting in and getting out. But I don't also mind trading something that I know has like, you know, some substantiability behind it. So, wow, Lido got crushed too, which is pretty, I mean, it's kind of awesome, right? But these things were getting extended. And they were hard to catch because they were moving fast and they had a narrative. So now you look, you know, you pull a fib on this one and you just say, hey, like when you come into that 618, like I'm all over it. And that will be that cup and handle. Support and resistance vibe there. And that, like, look, resistance, bounce, right into that 618 wickage. So Lido looks like a place to set some limit orders for me, 185, maybe even 175. You know, 140 on a wick. A hope and a dream, you know. So these are now on my, like, I'm starting to kind of build ideas. I'm just starting to kind of begin to dream, you know, think. But I know why this is a coin that could probably bounce back quicker than the other coins. All right. And it's not a coincidence. It's because it has liquid staking on Ethereum. All right. Like if 3 weeks from now we hit this for gains, it's not a coincidence. And if it plays it and I go, oh, look, 618. And I'm on the live stream like, Lido out of the 618. It's like, well, because on the night when Bitcoin was dumping, we didn't go cry ourselves to sleep and get all emotional. Like we stayed focused on the task at hand, right? Which is looking for the next possible opportunity. So. We worked even harder on the work. And this isn't a damn to like look for tons of things. And if I miss some bounces, I even said to my wife, I was like, I'd rather miss bounces than FOMO into a market that's just, you know, has too much indecision. This could nicely pump to the daily SMA Kava swap just because of how it's making that higher low. And this also looks weird to me, like it's like bullish today. Like how did it pump? You know, it looks like it almost pumped today. Like it doesn't look bad at all compared to the rest of the market. It is a swap. Dexes were, you know, are a little strong. DMTR. Wow, look how strong that coin is, huh? Unbelievable. We didn't even get stopped out of the long yet. That's crazy, right? Strong. So like, still on the radar. Like if we didn't get stopped out of there now, like how to, you know, I can't say, you know, because that makes people think, oh, we can't, and then watch we'll all get stopped out, right? But you know, you got to think if we didn't get stopped out yet, how in gosh's name, you know, how in goodness. That's amazing. Like that I pick a one coin that I'm like all bullish on and it's like holding the zone. And look, they don't even have, usually they have trending coins up here, right? But today was like such a melee. Oh, I can add a portfolio here, holdings, watch list. So I have my AI portfolio there too. I might even give you like insight. What does it mean when a candle doesn't print and stays a marker? I've never heard of that. I don't know what that means. I don't know. I got into VAI and VXV earlier this week and didn't get stopped out. That's amazing. On the same wavelength. Lahu, thank you. Word to your DMTR, look, still holding the pathways. Yes, on the same wavelength. Collapse all. Look at FCON on the 5 minute. I mean, that's a candle though, right? It's just like, I know, I don't know, honestly, the smaller the coin, the smaller the, like, this is something that I'd be careful trading just sometimes. You know what I mean? Just on smaller time frames, or I'd wait for like the volume to pick up on it a little bit. But that means that basically means the order book was that small that in the last 5 minutes, like nobody bought anything. So it just like, it couldn't, a candle represents buying and selling. I mean, that's the thing. That's what I can contrive from that. Anyone else can say I'm right or wrong. Makes sense, right? I mean, it means that nothing really happened there. Okay. All right. It's crazy because if you're looking to accumulate long-term wealth, these are the best types of days to get things together, not look away. Yep. I mean, you got to be in it to win it. You got to be in it to win it, right? We're going to look back 2 years from now. And honestly, this crash today or when I bought back then, like, you're going to look back. All those times are going to be, we're going to look back on, yeah, some prices will be better. Sometimes will be worse. But, like, being able to have your mind clear and set, and being with a group of people that have a plan. Yeah, look at that VAI. I see what you're saying. Like, you would have thought that would have dropped more. It's really just sitting in the perfect accumulation bot. It's in the 618 golden pocket. VAI is still strong, like one of the strongest coins so far. And it could go lower, right? But right now it's in a golden pocket, 706 area. I mean, strong institutional. Well, they gobble up things on the institutional side. So with that being said, everybody, I'm going to run on out of here. My hips get sore when I did the sitting, though. I did sit. It's good when you sit and stand. That's been helping me because it's been, and Bitcoin got a little pump here, 20,800. And again, I wish I could sit next to you and do TA all night long on the 1 minute. But I love you all. I'm going to stop the screen share right now, the sharing of the screen. And thank you so much for your time today. Much love, Sam. Everyone, thank you so much for being here. Today was a tough day in the market. Today was not easy at all. So shout out to anyone that made gains. Shout out to Lifer Friend for staying true to his system and what he does. Shout out to everyone here that came in today. I'm amazed that many of you people had, we had basically 100 people here tonight. So we're strong. Our group is strong. I have nothing to worry about because I know there's people in here that are going to work hard to change their life. Then they're going to give me feedback, testimonials, and everything's going to keep going strong. So testimonials are like the biggest things for me, like worth more than any type of monetary value. So may God bless everybody tonight. Thank you so much. If I have a chance, I'll put out one thing, but I may not. I may just kind of ride off for the night. But if I see one more thing, I will. And if I see anything else in the market, or if I see a dip or something, I'll jump on in for an update. But everyone, thanks for the night. Thanks for the day. And I'll see you tomorrow for our morning update. And then I'll see you again for the weekly, for the daily live stream. Bye, Kevin. Bye, Michael. Bye, Paula. Bye, Mira. Bye, Craig. I want to say everyone's name: Ray, Kenneth, Adam, Luigi, Mario. My man, Renee, did the whole thing, man. Thank you so much, man. May God bless you and your family. I just heard my wife yelling at my daughter. She's like, go to bed. Why are you still awake? Love you, Sam. Thank you, Adam. Appreciate everybody. And remember, you are the opportunity in your life. You just got to keep telling you every single day, it's you. You're the reason that it can happen. Because things go well for me, but like I didn't pierce the veil because I just was like, once my mind pierced the veil, my life pierced the veil. Like it all started in my mind. Everything started in my mind. It's like I'm still fascinated every day that I wake up. So God bless you all. Have a great night. And thank you for everything, everyone. And I appreciate you all. You keep me going. Thank you. No days off, baby. You can do it.